hitting that button. Yep, got it. And then come on, you can do this, baby. Okay, hitting that button. Don't sound. Share to Facebook. Copy the link. Post there. Go ahead. We'll be with you in a second, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Let's just have to play around with it. Well, those of you that are watching right now, anyway.
Some hairy armpits on the screen. There you go.
That will forever be broadcasted on YouTube now. I hope you're pleased.
DNA vibes.
Maybe I should have gone live on Facebook.
This episode is sponsored by Haribo Fruit Shoots, the big tomatoes for 50p. There you go.
Almost
what are you doing anyway?
I'm just setting up a few links before we start broadcasting.
Thought we was just going to talk about 4 and the boys.
Well, we are for the most part, but if we need to drop in a few stories, there's not many stories.
Movie review.
It is, but I'm still setting up a few links. Oh no, not links for news stories. Links for a broadcast. Okay. The Bossk thing. It's already got loads of things on there. I'll put 2. I won't be long.
Why go live?
And do I sound all right?
Yeah, but you look like a force ghost.
Oh, good, because I am the force.
This Friday, sponsored by Lager.
We wish. Cool, all done. Now let's get the clock up.
Get the what?
The clock.
Oh, the clock. I thought you said get the clock.
No, animal. Right, okay, here we go. Starting the clock now, and record. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest, the greatest, the mightiest, yes, the mightiest episode of The Boys from Bossk. I'm joined by my erstwhile comrade, partner, and one half of the new team of Love and Thunder, Big Dave! How are you? You all right?
I'm okay.
It's hot here it's hot here in the city at the moment. And it's been.
And I just realised I'm wearing the vest of the new NBA champions.
All right.
Well done.
And speaking of Warriors, the latest film from the Thunder God has arrived, and it's the only Marvel superhero to reach 4 movies. In actual fact, outside of Spider-Man.
Is it not more than 4?
Is what?
It's more than 4.
He's the only one to reach. Thor's the only one that's had 4.
Has more than 4 movies.
Yeah, 4 is the only one to hit 4. Like, no one else has done that. Iron Man didn't do
about
that.
8, though,
Captain America didn't do that. True. But he's the first one to do it. And Love and Thunder was released, I think, yesterday. It's been out in the States, I think, I don't know, I think they had previews last week because I saw a few people reviewing straight out of the cinema. But it's only released this weekend in the States, and apparently it's hit a nice 29 mil. In spite of some negative reviews, I might add, it's not done so well with reviewers, and there's a few people out there who are feeling a bit hurt by the whole thing. But me and the Big Dave went to see it today.
We did.
And we're going to review that shortly. But first, we'll hit up a few of the other reviews, namely The Boys hit its final episode today. It's been, it's now the third season of The Boys?
End of the third season now. I think that was the last
so
one, wasn't it?
It's the end of the third season of The Boys, and that's in itself quite impressive because this show is a bit wild. It's not as wild as a comic book, but it's pretty wild.
I think it's as wild as you get for TV. I don't think it can get any wilder,
the wildest we've had for TV? Well, South Park, I would have said was a lot for live action.
The last episode would have turned into a porn movie if it wasn't good for TV.
I don't know. I'm thinking, yeah. If it went any further, it would literally be porn. That is very true, and there's no way they could have done that. But they didn't. There were a lot of people disappointed by that, but I reckon that's the Pornhub effect. Do you know what I mean?
There's only so much you can get away with for standard television. So
yeah. But I have to say, most of the story in this one,
where else would you see
happened in the last
Winkle trying to shake hands with a man?
True, what was it? Love Sausage. That was it. Hey, come into the party. This season I found was probably the most. The season dragged a lot for me, especially maybe the first three episodes. Three episodes. And I have to say, until Herogasm, it didn't really pick up that much. And I have to say, the last couple of episodes had some of the most powerful scenes in it, especially with Black Noir. Black Noir, right, a character that's managed to get to the third season, and we knew nothing about. In the last maybe 3 episodes, we learned who he was. We learned how much pain he was in. And we actually, I don't know, I wouldn't say the correct word was care for him, but you kind of felt for him a little bit by the end of this season.
But now he's free.
And just like the other black character in The Walking Dead, he managed to get some lines. We never had any lines for the first 4 seasons of Walking Dead.
It's dead. Yeah.
And
a few lines.
Was it T-Dog? Do you remember T-Dog?
Yeah. Huh? That's why he left, wasn't it?
T-Dog had no lines. Yeah. No, he said he was interviewed once and he said, easiest thing in the world. I get paid and I don't have to say anything. Who's going to complain about that?
Get paid more for stuff.
But yeah, the boy still manages to shock. I think it's lost a lot of the shock value after the first season, because the first season was very powerful. I mean, there were lots of blood and guts everywhere. Second season, Stormfront.
The second episode when she went down the alley and just blew all the heads off. That was quite out there.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think I think especially with this season, the expectations would have been like they can't top that. And boy, did they top that. And the performances again, Carl Urban. Yeah, Carl Urban. Man's God. I'm sorry. He deserves, and everybody keeps going, Anthony Starr deserves an award for Homelander. Carl Urban deserves some, like, they need to be chucking awards at Carl Urban, because Carl Urban, again, he's been in so many films and people don't recognize it.
It's always the American hero, isn't it? That's why they want
Diabolical.
the American hero, not the English baddie.
Anthony Starr's good, don't get me wrong. I don't want to take away from anybody in this cast, from Carl Urban to Jack Quaid, Erin Moriarty, even the guy Mother's Milk, Laz Alonso, all great. Even Adeep had some moments here.
I love Adeep. I feel he doesn't do much, but the stuff that he does do makes me laugh.
Yeah, I don't.
But I think that plays on the role of like Aquaman was always the piss taker when it comes to the Marvel comics and stuff like that. He's like the big switch around.
Don't lose your nerd credentials here, will you? And and even the supporting cast, like what's her name, Ashley, played by Colby Minifie. She's superb. Like, for the past 3 seasons, she's been pulling her hair out, and you see the final effect of that in the last episode. And I think that's like, everybody's superb in this show, and I think it really works because of it. And it's so much better than a comic book in ways that I just can't explain because the comic books are horrific. The language they use, I know it was late 90s, but it was a lot more, very much horrific book. Whereas this, I know this just seems perfect. This seems a perfect antidote to all the stuff Marvel's doing. It holds itself up well, especially against shows like Peacemaker, which try, I think, to ape its style as well, the violence and the shock value, but doesn't quite do it as well as The Boys does.
Well, I think they can. I think there's a different sort of thing with HBO Max to Amazon.
Oh yeah, but there's still like
That's
The
like
Boys,
the Netflix versus Disney sort of thing, you know.
No, I don't reckon. I reckon HBO, when they made Peacemaker, they watched The Boys to see how far they could go. And I think they've gone for that sort of shock value, but The Boys just works better for me. Like, it's got this massive cast, and like I said, they did Black Noir. The guy who plays Black Noir, no lines, but probably I felt a lot for him by the end of this episode.
The third season.
Yeah. And I just think that works. That works really, really well.
He's like Snake Eyes.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm glowing just talking about this show. It's superb. In the last episode, as a finale, it was a bit sketchy in the sense that you knew Homelander weren't going down. You knew, like, the odds were they weren't going to take Homelander down. And so you pretty much figured the story was going to go one of certain ways. And although it doesn't quite, I don't want to put any spoilers down, but as far as I'm concerned, one of the best superhero fights I've certainly seen. One of the best fights I've ever seen in a TV show. And what's his name? Soldier Boy. Who plays Soldier Boy? It's, who's the actor that plays Soldier Boy?
That dude.
I've forgotten his name. Jensen Ackles, right? My God. Like, I never watched Supernatural. I don't know anybody that ever watched Supernatural.
Do you know what?
Right?
I was trying to think where I saw him before, and that's what it is. I've seen the adverts of him on Supernatural.
Well, Supernatural's the only
I've never
show.
watched it, but he's always been on TV.
Supernatural's the only show he's been in since 2005. I mean, that
character in that.
Yeah, he was the main character in the show that wasn't. It was like Buffy for, I don't know. After you finished Buffy, you watch this.
He was the Mel Buffy.
Yeah, him and his brother were the Buffys, and I just think it's impressive the way that he's been. There's very few times, if you make a show like Supernatural, there's very few times as an actor you'll be allowed to go into something else very high profile, or people will take you seriously, which is why people don't tend to do shows very long. And if you just want an example of how powerful, like the type of career he was having beforehand, go to his IMDb. Yeah, he's literally, his career before Supernatural was, let's see, Supernatural the animation, couple of video games, Tron Evolution video game, Batman Under the Red Hood, Smallville. He did a couple of episodes of that.
Played the character Green Arrow, wasn't he?
Jason, no, he played a character called Jason Teague. And Dawson's Creek, he played a character called CJ. Dark Angel, Blondie, and the All-American Days of Our Lives. Right? That's his sort of, those are the highlights of his career.
He does do,
and
like
now he's gone.
Lives sort of dude.
Don't say that. He's left those days behind. So he's gone into The Boys. He's coming for one season, and it's very rarely actors are allowed to do that. To jump, if you're in a show for that long, I think very rarely do you get to jump into something else and be a huge success. And I think this is guaranteed. Not that he'll be back in season 3 or 4 of The Boys. I doubt that's going to happen. But it's guaranteed that he'll be able to move on to other stuff. I don't see it's going to be long before Netflix, Marvel,
not dead, is he?
Or spoilers. I don't think it's that long until Marvel Don't get upset at me for mentioning this. I see that look.
Come on, man. I don't say much.
You wouldn't like it, yeah. Spoilers.
I don't say much. This is my thunder. This is my show.
So it's kind of like it's one of those things. So he's done all right. He's sort of made his first move, and I think it'll be okay. It's like one of those things. He's done. I don't know. How did you feel? I think he's just done a good job.
It's just one of the cast, isn't he? He's not the best. He's not the worst. So you got your 4 main characters, and they're the eye candy, and you've got the background characters, and then you got the background characters. Superstars, star, extra. He's in the middle for now.
Yeah.
And now he's inside a Darth Vader's tomb, getting rebuilt. It's he could be there for 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. You just never know.
Yeah. No, he
They
could
might not bring him back.
Yeah.
But
no, I just think he's going to get picked up soon by anyone else. I think he would have made a great Batman. I think I wouldn't be surprised if one of them pick him up. But for a finale episode,
kill Batman. I'm just fed up with Batman. Just kill Batman.
Oh, you get all the Batman fans hating on us. I think
one thing I like about the boys, you got Aquaman and Superman, and they're both assholes.
Yes. No, I agree with you there. I just think, look, those two are great. The Boys is superb. I'm more than happy with it. Great season. Not as great as season 2 or 3. Still an amazing ending.
That is only the 3rd season.
No, but one season not as good as season 1 or 2.
I know season 1. Well, I think because season 1 was like a complete shock to the system, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had like Teen Titans and stuff that went to extreme, and this just went from a 5 to a 10. You know, and it stayed a 10 for season 2.
Yeah.
And now it's gone down to an 8 or 9.
And true. And but I do think at the end of the day, this is going to be it's going to be interesting where they take the next season, because it's definitely stepped away from the comic books in this sense, and it's definitely much more complex than comic books in terms of writing and characterization.
Well, this is when you start writing comic books to go with the TV show, isn't it? That's what they want to do. It makes more money.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rate this I'm gonna rate
8.5 for this season.
I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I'm going with a solid 9 for the Boys. Really enjoyed it. Thoroughly good performance. And I'm
the last 2 years I've given it a 10.
Yeah.
And I think this has gone down a bit. It's an 8.5 for me. You know, it's gone down a bit. It's not as they had like 2 out of the 8 episodes that were really good.
Yeah.
And the others like build-ups to those 2 episodes. But
no, I'm with you. I think it's been a good process. I'm certainly excited to see where it goes, and we'll see what happens.
I think in the first 2 seasons there was a real bad guy, wasn't there? With this one, there wasn't a bad guy. It was a story to bring Soldier Boy into the fold, basically, and it forgot about the backstories that were already going on.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, like I said, solid 9. You went 8.5. Okay, well, that's a good score. That's a good score. I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
You know, it's not probably got more than Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think, on my books.
Speaking of Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? A guy, a super fan, shall we say, managed to do an edit of Obi-Wan, and he edited it down to 2.5 hours. Without all the extra meat that they put in there. And that's available online. Yeah. Managed to edit it down to 2.5 hours. I don't know. Yeah, seems all right. 2.5 hours. It's not bad.
How long is the 6 episodes anyway?
I think the 6 episodes altogether is somewhere around just around 6 hours, or maybe 5.5.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah, so I think that's pretty.
that's a lot of crud in between, isn't it?
I'm not saying I've seen it yet, but I will say that you can find links to it online, and it might be worth finding out what you guys think. If
I think
I'm
maybe we should watch it.
I'm not going to say whether or not that would be a good thing due to copyright infringement, but it's definitely interesting that somebody's done that. I know they did a cinematic release of it in the States. I don't know if that was a cut down version either, but they did that in the cinema as well. So that in itself is quite interesting. Right. Anything else you want to share with people about the boys, Dave? Are you
No, I just found like Black Noir's character was it really worth having a story about him in the end?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I mean, you probably could have got
the
rid of
the level of
Herogasm
emotion
with the cartoon characters and all that rubbish.
mm,
It was like, what was the point of it?
I think it was. In the comic book, it's slightly different because in the comic book, Black Noir is actually a clone of the Homelander, and he actually goes around. The Homelander doesn't know he's a clone, and Black Noir actually ends up going around committing crimes as Homelander,
So why would they not do
which
that?
sends the Homelander mad. Because it's already been done, hasn't it? Like if they, this is the thing that, so. No, but that's a legitimate question. But I always go, when you do adaptations of books, unless it's an historical account or something, what's the point of doing it exactly like the book? Because then if everybody who's read it is going to be like, I know what happens. I know what happens. This is why George R. R. Martin's not going to finish Game of Thrones, right? Because he still hasn't finished the last 2 books, right? So he's never gonna.
Well, the series finished before the books were finished. It was like, what the hell's going on there?
True.
Yeah, I mean, they released the last season before the last book was ever released.
The last 2 books. Yeah, but I don't blame him. Like, if you were writing the books, and he's already told, he must have told the series makers how it ends, right? And all they've done is
look at the Faces episode, right? That was probably 80% of the 4th book, and they bunged it all into 50 minutes.
Yeah,
it's like.
Well, yeah, but George, if I was George R. R. Martin, I'd just leave it and go, do you know what? Fans can finish it however way they want it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like I said, they slagged off everything about that last episode. Why would you want to finish your story off at this point? They're going to hate whatever you write. What with dragons and...
Come on, it went Disney, that last episode.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I had no problem with it. It made perfect sense to me that it would end that way.
I enjoyed it until the actual last season, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
I was really into it until then.
I'm not going to disrespect you because of that, Dave. I think you sometimes
the new one comes out next month, doesn't it?
Sometimes your insights are better than mine about that type of thing. So yeah, all right, cool.
Let's look forward to the prequels, like episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Right. So what else is there? Let's see. What time are we at? Right. So as I said, I think we get into this now. Me and Dave, we got off our booties. Got up nice and early.
Very early, actually.
Dave got a frappuccino. No, Dave got a coffee. I got a frappuccino. After trying 3 times, unsuccessfully the first 2 times. And upset. I do feel so sorry for anybody that works in Starbucks, because whether or not Starbucks is busy, it's busy behind the counter, and it's hard. And I feel really bad because I didn't make a complaint as such, but I was just like, look.
What made me laugh? I was the only person out of all those orders that ordered the actual coffee, and it's a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Everyone else ordered frappuccinos and stuff
with coffee in it.
Well,
and
no,
I had coffee in
it. It's
a
milkshake
with coffee.
Yeah.
And I've had to make a complaint, but I was like, you know what? And I went to Black Sheep Coffee, who, if you're looking to sponsor anybody, I'm down with that. And I went to Black Sheep Coffee in the end because I was just like, I can't be dealing with your business. I just can't be dealing with it. And no, I'm very much like, you know what? It's cool. We can work with this. So we finally got to the cinema. For a moment we were worried because it looked like we weren't even going to get. It looked like for a moment like we weren't even going to get the movie. Because what was happening, Dave? It didn't usually comes up and goes
lights up.
Hey,
it was, 20 minutes in, and then boom, lights down, no adverts, straight to the movie.
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
Yeah, it just but we expected some trailers or whatever, but we didn't get that. It just flew past us.
Just bam, straight to the movie. Well, we did. We got an advert for a Ford car of some sort.
Did we? I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was one advert, and then it started the movie.
So Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the follow-up to Thor: Ragnarok, which is a film that sort of in its own way redefined the whole Thor mythos and brought a lot more comedy to it. There was always a sense of humor about
I think after Guardians of the Galaxy, that was the film after that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think they had to catch up to how funny people found Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wasn't it more to do with, like, people hated for the dark?
Yeah, but I enjoyed it.
But a lot of people gave it really bad reviews and didn't really like it. And I was like, that's fine. But at the same time...
But it's telling the story of how Odin got hold of the gauntlet and stuff. So it's telling Loki and Thor's story.
But it just they sort of diverged, and then Ragnarok came about. And I don't know, I enjoyed Ragnarok, but I was like, the comedy in Ragnarok wasn't all that. It was more, it was all right.
No, the comedy in Ragnarok's all about Korg, isn't it?
Yeah. Or the Hulk.
Without him, that film would be flat, I reckon.
No, without Hulk. I think Hulk sort of makes
Hulk had some good lines in that. But Korg was the main character.
And it's very much...
behold, he's also the director. So it's all about me.
Thor Ragnarok is very much the follow-up to that film because it throws itself even deeper into the comedy. And depending on where you are, so the idea behind the story is that Gore, whose character played by Christian Bale, who's no stranger to superhero films, finally gets to meet his god.
I'm Batman.
And he meets his god, who turns out to be not a very nice person and revels in his suffering. And
but he wasn't a nice god. He was an asshole.
And basically sends Christian Bale's character on a mission of vengeance, if you will, by his actions. Now, for me, I get it. At this moment in time, people want more cheerful movies, but the whole subject matter of this film is really dark. And I enjoyed it. I'm not going to take away. I did enjoy this film, right? I've got
It was basically someone that lost their faith, and then thought, I'm going to take out everyone else that's the leader of that faith.
Yeah, it's religion's worst nightmare. An angry religious person who hates God, right? Because it's like that's the premise of it. And my only problem with it is it's quite heavy. The film's quite a lot of heavy subject matter, and no spoilers, I swear. But there's some points in this movie where it's dealing with quite heavy subjects, but yet they're throwing the comedy around, and it's like, ooh. I don't know if that really worked that well this time round. And
I don't know. Some of the comedy's funny. I think it's more of the visual comedy made me laugh more than the actual comedy.
Which there's a lot in this.
Like when Nick Fury rung Thor up, it said Nick Furry, and I was laughing at that because of the way it was spelled.
That's how rubbish
it said
I
Nick
am.
Furry. I was laughing.
And
when they went to the ice cream store, it was called like Infinity Scones or something like that.
Oh, when
Infinity
they open
Cones.
up,
Infinity Cones, it was called. And I was laughing because it's like instead of Infinity Stone, it was like.
And it was also
Visual comedy.
Look, how can I put it? It's not that I hate it. How would I do it if it was me? Is the way I'll put this. So there's this whole section in this film where they talk about the Guardians and their little village and how they commercialized it. If that was me making that film, I would have made it more about how actually these are the last of the Asgardians. They've made it to Earth. They found a little spot, and actually they don't like
made
people
it to Disneyland, didn't they?
Yeah, they don't like people there. They don't want people coming up with cameras up their nose, up their wazoo. And actually, no, there wouldn't be any tourist ships there because they'd keep them away. But yet, they've turned it into a theme park. And that really, that to me made no sense. It's funny.
No, because it was a fishing village, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a little fishing village, and that was it.
It is funny that they did that. But it makes no sense that they've done that. And actually, I'd very much be like, no, we don't want. We just survived the destruction of our world. Thanks for letting us have a place on Earth, but we don't want Wazoo's running around the village like this is Harry Potter,
fault, wasn't it? Because she done that.
Yeah, but Valkyrie more than most would have been like, no, I would have thought. You know what I mean? They've gone through enough. But anyway. But that's what I mean about the humor in this film. It's very on the nose. They dial these jokes in, right? And it's very on the nose. And yes, I sat in the cinema and laughed a few times. I found it funny, but I don't know if the humor suited this film. And like I said, it sounds silly that I'm saying that, but if you follow some of the storyline in this, which I won't talk about, but there's stuff happens to characters where you're like, that's just not. That's pretty like, okay, really? This is how we're doing it. All right, and I think that's where a lot of the audience, a lot of the views have been going.
Pointless.
Look, all I'm saying is it's not a spoiler to mention who he is because I think they already announced it. Russell Crowe's character is playing
Zeus.
Yeah, not Jesus.
I'll spoil it. I'll spoil it.
Not Jesus. Not he's not South American. No, and again, I know they need to get big names into this, but considering the amount of time these big names are in these films, why do they keep hiring? Why do you hire an Aussie actor to play an ancient Greek god? I get the connection, like this vague connection to Rome, and because he was a gladiator, all the rest of it. Yeah,
but Greek gods and Roman gods are completely different again.
But as Marvel's already established, right, the gods in the Marvel universe exist irrelevant of being worshipped.
I think it's because it was all filmed in Australia, wasn't it? This film
was it? I thought it was. Yeah, okay, I didn't know that.
And I think it was during COVID and stuff like that.
Okay,
so it's easy to get.
Well, it was just like, but not only do they hire him to be a Greek god, but the connection between the Asgardians and the Vikings is vague in this. They're not Vikings. Saul said he's not a Viking. The Vikings just worship them. Why has Russell Crowe got the worst Greek accent? Hey,
he was like a Batman, wasn't he? He was like a Batman.
Get out of your face. I haven't heard a Greek accent that bad since, what was it, Stavros?
Yeah.
But it was like, I haven't heard a Greek accent that bad in the entire of my life. But it was still hilariously funny because Russell Crowe played it. Like, cheese is the core of this one. And in that sense, it worked really well. But this is where the comedy spoils it. I think we could have done with much more time with these gods. I find it strange that Zeus is seen as the god of gods when there's
Zeus
so many.
Is the god of gods.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I found it strange that he was the god of gods.
He is the god of gods
in the Marvel universe.
No, in the real universe, Zeus is the father of Hades. Hercules.
Well, yeah, of the Greek gods, but in this scene, there's
so
gods
he's the
from
god
loads
of gods.
Well, no, because there's loads of other.
And Neptune's his brother. It's.
No, I'm just no, because there were no Greek gods in that scene apart from Zeus.
No, because it was the gods of gods.
Yeah, but that makes no sense because why would the god? Why would he be the ultimate god?
Because he is the Almighty. Zeus is the Almighty.
Only in the
gods.
Greek, only with the Greek gods.
No, in all the gods, Zeus is the king.
No, not in the no. I'm not having this. He's never. Zeus isn't even mentioned in the Marvel universe.
No,
that's the
Zeus
first time he's been mentioned.
Zeus is Greek mythology.
Yeah, but he's not. They're gods from the Aztec Empire in there.
Yeah,
they didn't
mention him.
Huh?
They showed him, but they didn't mention him.
Well, yeah, they did, and they had what's his name's god there. Who's Korg's god there? It made no sense that Zeus would be the god of gods, right? But I don't want to get caught up on that too much.
Was the other god of gods, wasn't he? But
apparently Zeus was the highest of the high. Apparently,
because he's a player.
Well, yeah. Well, clearly by this
he just wants to laugh at joke and orgies. There you go.
But until he got Thor naked, at which point the whole thing changed. He got a bit jealous to me. I don't know. I didn't hate it. Please understand. And I think, Dave, I'm sure you must have heard me giggle a few times, even where you were sitting that far away. But I did find it funny. It just felt a bit rushed. The need for comedy made those scenes feel a bit too rushed. I just thought
the whole story was all over the place for this.
A little bit. I think
there must have been. I think there was 4 stories, 5 stories.
I think it could have done,
and then they try and link it up, and the link up wasn't good.
Jane could have done with that whole story with Jane could have done with its own film, because I think that storyline's strong enough that it could have carried itself, and it got reduced to a moment in it. And also, a lot of fans are complaining because they don't understand where the Marvel universe is going. And I think you're wrong. I think we can tell clearly where it's going now. And I think we're actually, because I had some time to think about it, but we'll come back to that in a moment. The film moves on.
So it's all going to go to like the God of God world, isn't it? You look at the Eternals, you look at this.
We'll get back to that in a minute.
Multiverse of Madness. It's all going to go to gods.
Well, no. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's leading into one of a few things. But I think this is laying down a lot of the groundwork for what's going to be coming in the Marvel universe. Just as I think for Dark World it didn't do much, but obviously one of the Infinity Stones
laid the grounds for everything.
Yeah, I think the cast in this are really good. Natalie Portman, thank God they gave her something to do in this film that didn't involve kissing Thor. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of time. She has some great scenes. Thor's hammer axe.
I love the Stormbreaker and Monyo bloody hatred of each other.
Yeah, and it works. I think they could have taken it a little bit further in terms of storytelling because it works really, really well.
But the best thing about it was he would talk to both of them, and there would be no reply. Only he could hear them.
I think the one thing that disappointed me a little bit about this is the way Thor, especially at the start of this film, doesn't seem to have developed as a character from the first full film. Part of the issue with him was his arrogance. And this sort of, he hasn't grown by this film. In fact, if anything, he's worse because he seems to have no sense of...
I think it's because he's modelled himself on Peter Quill, hasn't he?
He a little bit, Quill. But after everything he's gone through, you'd think he'd.
So he's got a bit stupid and a bit wacky.
Yeah, and it was really silly. Like the opening sequence, what his actions do. Those were the actions of old Thor. Do you get what I mean? It was childish Thor, and for the sake of comedy, I thought that was really a bit disappointing for the character development in that sense. But I enjoyed it. So do you get what I mean? Like even though
if you look at the Guardians, they're like, oh. God.
Yeah.
It was like the
But that's what I mean. I thought that Thor had grown up a little bit since the first Thor film, and his actions since then. And it just looks like there's been no growth for the character. And hopefully, I think by the end of this film, there is some. But
I thought Matt Damon was good again, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's happy to just do that in the Marvel universe.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant that he just does that. Just plays Loki.
And
they're already getting ready for the next film, aren't they? Like, oh, what should we do next?
Even Vin Diesel's character Groot has had growth.
He gets paid 50 million per film.
Not 50. They don't pay that much. I think
they pay Vin Diesel 50 million a film.
No, not for that. There's no way he gets 50 million for one of Fast and Furious. Yes, I can see him getting 50 million, but not for doing
50 million a film.
No, because I could do that.
He's executive producer and everything for it.
No, I can. There's no way. Not the budget on those films.
I was looking at it. It was like that's how much he gets paid.
No, I don't know. I'm not buying that. It may be in residuals, but you can't. The budget on Thor could have been more.
Well, I think he's probably got like what's his face had with Han Solo. He's got all.
Yeah, it must be residuals because there's no way he's getting off the back of that.
Just saying, I am Groot.
The Guardians, if you're going to this film for the Guardians, please be warned, the Guardians are only in this film for maybe 15 minutes. Yeah, if that. No, 10 minutes. They're in a total of 10 minutes and that's it. If you're going for this film for lots of Thor, you're going to get that. Jamie Alexander also makes a bit of a return. I hope Marvel.
I think the Guardians is just a build up for the Christmas special, really. That's why they're in it.
Yeah, and
all the quotes and everything there lead up to the Christmas special.
Yeah, I go with that. But
and
I'd add also whatever they're going to be doing with the future of the Marvel universe, I would put in that as well. Jamie Alexander, I've got a feeling she's going to be popping up in Loki. She's makes a return to this film, but again, she doesn't do much in it. But I reckon Loki season 2 is where Disney's probably going to be using her because she played quite a big part in season 1 of Loki. Her image ghosted, and I think it'd be quite interesting to see where that goes. Tessa Thompson, what do you think of her? King Valkyrie, were you all right with that one?
I think
her sarcasm, she continues to be very much the character she was from back when I was.
It's a great character, and I think this film ruined it because it led all the other films that led her to be the great king of this new Asgard. And she just looked like a complete joke. You know, being like a ghetto princess, basically.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how her character's been portrayed through the last few films.
Yeah.
She's always been like the tough woman, wants the best.
Well, she's still pretty tough, though.
And then she came out like Barack Obama wearing basketball jerseys and everything else. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
she was still a badass. I need to fight for the country, blah blah blah. But it wasn't the Valkyrie that you've had for the last few films.
Well, no, she's no longer a drunk.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you've just taken away the whole character's persona and changed it to a different person, basically, but with the same face.
All right, okay, no, that's fair enough. She doesn't play as big a role as she did in the first film. She's there more as a pin
psychic
for a psychic for Thor until Jane comes along. I was surprised they didn't develop a relationship for her because there was so much talk about that after Ragnarok. There was so much talk about that, but nothing happens there. And what I find, look, let me tell you this, right?
Korg's boyfriend at the end made me laugh.
Well, the whole story about Korg and the way that when you meet another guy, the same, and it's like,
what was his mate's name? Giuseppe or something. He had a rock man with a moustache.
Yeah. They don't hesitate to do that with this film, and it is at the end of the day all about love to a large degree. And I think about finding someone that means something for you. And trust me, it does have a happy ending at the end of this film. But there's a lot of dark bits in between. And like I said, I think
it does go very dark, especially when it goes black and white.
Yeah. And I think lots of people get a lot of good moments, especially the Guardian kids. I'm like, it's a weird scene, like when you actually think about what's happening in it, and I don't want to spoil it, but it works suspiciously well. Now, obviously, if I was going to give this film alone a rating, I think that rating at the moment would be a 7.5. I enjoyed it, but I think it was It needed a bit more work on the script. I love Taika Waititi. I do. I think he's brilliant. But this is the subject matter was, I think, a bit too heavy for this amount of comedy. And I think it could have been, it deserves a bit more work on that script to make it a bit more tighter. Maybe get rid of the Guardians of the Galaxy at the start. Maybe treat
that was a pointless 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe treat Thor.
That was literally like, where is Thor now? Basically.
Yeah, it would have been nice to treat Thor a bit more seriously as a character that has grown and still have humor in there. But there's no difference between this Thor at the start of this film and Thor in the first movie.
Was he still fat Thor when the last film was on?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because he becomes fat after Endgame, doesn't he? So, Infinity War and Endgame, he's still fat.
Yeah, I thought he lost all the weight, and then they just showed another.
No, he doesn't lose it because at the end of that, he's still, because he gets a body armor and he looks a bit buff, but he's got berserker armor on. But he looked more like a Viking with the belly than he does in the films. So, yeah, I just think it's good. It's got some deep, like the whole thing about gods and losing faith. It's really deep. There's Guardian kids. I think I've got a feeling that the Young Avengers, some of them might be appearing again at a later date in the Young Avengers and some Marvel projects.
Well, because they're bringing in certain characters, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's.
You know what I mean? Out of all those kids, you had the one. You know.
Yeah.
And even at the end, they mentioned about that one.
Yeah. And I think. So your big questions, Dave. What's your score first of all before we say any more?
Yeah, I'm with you. 7.5. I'm in between, maybe 7.25. You know.
Yeah. I think it's that type of film, and that's not saying it's a bad film.
It needed work.
Yeah,
there was like 5 stories going on.
Exactly.
But maybe they all link up.
And I hope I'm not influencing you, Dave, because I love it when you're you've got your own thing.
No, but I've got a funny feeling they might all link up to something. That's
Which
why there's so many different.
Brings me on to my next point. Do stay until the credits roll up, because I think both of those indents are worth staying to watch. Just because I think I know where this is going. Because I was speaking to Dave about this after film, like it didn't feel like it felt like it was going somewhere, but I think I know where it's going now. And I think they're building up to the introduction of the Fantastic Four. Because all these elements are quite fantastical. They're big elements. They're building up to the Fantastic Four, 1.
Well, of course they are.
And 2, they're
you look
building
at the
up.
End of Doctor Strange, it was like, come with me, blah, blah, blah. And then even this one, it was like, this is going to happen.
They're building up to some version of Secret Wars. And now Secret Wars in the comic book, they have different versions of it. And I think the last version was Battle World, which was like a world which was made up of all the different Marvel universes. I think that's where this is leading. Doctor Strange started off with its version of the Illuminati and introducing Earth 613. And at the end of Doctor Strange, they mentioned the incursions. And I think this is going to be a similar thing. And I don't think, although this film says this is the last time we're seeing certain characters, I'm pretty certain it's not. And I think you're going to see Asgard itself return in the next couple of years. I think you're going to see a lot of the old gods return as well, because I think something big's coming. I don't think it's Galactus. It would be nice to see the big guy appear in the Marvel universe, but I don't think
Galactus, it would just destroy everything that they're building up to, isn't it?
Not unless you've got a Fantastic Four, baby.
And
but I don't. Yeah. Well, again, I think all those elements are coming. The one big complaint I have about this movie is Marvel need to get away from this like clicking the fingers, Infinity Stones, wishing stuff. I was sat there in the cinema. I was going, really? Another? Is that what we're doing now again? I just stop it. I don't. No. It's time to stop that business now. Unless they're going to do something with it that works a bit more. But even with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it's all about wishes and wanting things to be in a different way. And I think they need to stop
it's all about having a different world and different life, isn't it? Than what could have been.
And that's why I think the multiverse of madness, this is why I think Battle World's coming, because all those different versions of the Marvel Universe, because they've even started doing it with the X-Men, they're calling them legacy films. Their whole Netflix stuff is it's all connected. I think you're going to see Battle World, and I think you're going to see all the characters come back, and it be a sort of soft or hard reboot for the Marvel Universe. They can't not make another Captain America film. They can't not make another Iron Man film, and they'll recast these roles as they go along. And this version of the Marvel Universe will end.
It's just going to be like they've done how many different Hulk films we had over the years.
Yeah, but I'd love it if they bring back Lou Ferrigno. It's like, Lou, I know you don't, you're not quite looking the part, so we're going to CG you up, but you're going to be this version.
Just bring him in for like one of the multiverses. Different Hulk.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They're going to be like, you're going to be a different Hulk, but we're going to CGI you up a bit, okay? Because clearly he's not going to be as bulky as he was back then.
I don't know. When he was in the King of Queens, he was still quite a big bloke.
You do want him to look bigger. And I think it'd be nice if they do.
He's got to be in his 70s now, though.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they do a Hulked out version, or he could be like not Old Man Hulk. There's a villainous old version of Hulk. I can't remember what is the Marquis. I can't remember exactly what his name is, but I think that'd be really cool. But Lee Ferrigno, I don't think he's got the acting range to pull it off. But what you see, I used to think that about Dave Bautista, and he's definitely blown me away in nearly everything he's done since he's left. The only bad film I saw. Yeah, he does a little bit. Yeah, he's got one line. Let's go. The reason why I think Dave Bautista didn't have any range is the one film I saw him in after he'd done wrestling. His only scene was where he's looking down a barrel of a gun and he blows his head off. And I was like, well, clearly they didn't want him saying anything. But Dave Bautista's come a long way. And although he's mad at Marvel for not developing Drax has made people appreciate him as an actor a lot more than any other role he's done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that says a lot for that as a whole. So do stay until the end. There's two quite nice moments right up in the end, and I think it's worth staying for. Were you happy with those? Were you happy to wait, Dave?
I didn't want to because I really wanted to go to the toilet.
But you were happy.
I fought it for like the last half hour. Like, man, I need to watch the end of this film. And then the second credit scene just took forever to scroll past.
Yeah.
But then with Doctor Strange, I didn't wait. I went home, and on the way home in the cab, I looked at YouTube and saw the end credits. So,
well, yeah, there's
a lot of people film the end credits now.
Not that we're endorsing people do that.
No, but it's just like, generally, like when I saw Doctor Strange, I was really pissed off because. It was just full of people just talking through the whole film, so it really annoyed me anyway.
Yeah, that took away a little bit.
And I always stay behind and watch these films, but when people in the cinema are really enjoying them, then you.
I didn't for Spider-Man, and I don't think I did for Doctor Strange. Stay behind because the Sony ones I find are usually quite bad.
Morbius one was really bad. There was no need.
Did I stay for Morbius?
Yeah, we did.
Did we? Oh, God.
We went together.
But yeah, I look. I can go on for hours about it. I don't want to spoil this film, so I think it's time me and Dave brought it to a close. But overall, fantastic. 7.5. Definitely worth going to the cinema if you can go widescreen, because especially the whole Zeus God of God.
Well, we went 2D normal version, and I think it does need that big graphics. I thought the quality of the actual film when we watched it was really bad.
I think a really big screen would suit this better, especially some of the scenes are absolutely massive. The set
wasn't even an IMAX version, was it?
No,
I think that's what was bad as well.
But yeah, I'd say give it a shot, peeps. I'm 7.5. Take the family. You'll have a good day out. If you want, you can wait until it's streaming, but I would say hit it in the cinema. It's worth the journey. Christian Bale plays the villain.
It's streamed quite early, won't it?
I think he's in terms of villain, he's got a lot more in common with. I guess he's got a lot more reason to do what he does than Thanos did.
It reminds me more of Who was the great one? Is one before that?
Floki?
It's like a great god. I can't think of the film. I can't think of the film.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of feedback from you there, Dave. I don't know what's happened.
That's because my head's moved to
the. But yeah, I'd say give it a shot. I'm perfectly happy with it. I enjoyed watching it. And I don't think I'd go.
Maybe it was
watch
the
it
great guy
again.
from X-Men you reminded me of.
Magneto.
That was like a grey baddie.
We've had a lot of those down the times.
Oh,
Maybe we'll tell you in our next one.
I've watched too much stuff. It might not be part of the Marvel universe.
We'll see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the next couple of weeks, there's a few films coming out. We will be there to review them. There's also so much TV coming back that I'm sure we'll have something to talk about. Here's
Disney should have a massive month next month.
Yeah. So we'll have a lot for you as we move forward through what is the greatest stage to be in that ever. But there you go. I've got some love. Dave's got some thunder for this film. 7.5 from me. It was 7.5 from you, Dave?
7.25.
7.25.
I'm going in between 7 and 7.5.
And there's your bounty from the boys from Bossk. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Dave. Thank you. Everybody, have a nice night.